Welcome back to World Rare Coin, where history meets hidden treasure. Every quarter holds a story. Every shine hides a secret. Imagine holding a small piece of metal that has witnessed decades of American history, a coin that has passed through countless hands. Across generations, some of these quarters are not just currency. They are time travelers, carrying mysteries that even experts are still uncovering. From the silent depths of old collections to the forgotten drawers of everyday homes, these rare Washington quarters have transformed into symbols of pure fascination, each one carrying unique marks, stories, and moments that set them apart from the rest. They might look ordinary, but their hidden details could change everything. Every curve, every letter, every minting flaw tells a story that only true collectors can read. Today, we uncover 6 of these legendary quarters that the world treasures for their unmatched rarity and astonishing backstories. So get ready, coin lovers, because you might be holding history itself without even knowing it. Welcome to the world of secrets. Welcome to World Rare Coin. The story of the 1983 D Washington quarter begins in a year when the United States was changing fast. The economy was shifting. People were collecting memories without realizing history was minting right in their pockets. Every coin struck at the Denver Mint carried not only the image of George Washington, but also the silent fingerprint of rarity waiting to be discovered. Collectors around the nation often overlook this coin, thinking, it is just another common piece of circulated metal. Yet the truth hides deep within the shine of those few surviving specimens that escaped the wear of time. The 1983 D quarter was minted during a period when the U.S. Mint stopped producing mint sets for collectors, which means that uncirculated examples were never officially released to the public. This single decision created a scarcity that no one noticed at first. But as years passed, numismatists began to realize that finding a flawless 1983 D quarter was almost impossible. This is where the story takes a turn. Imagine holding one of these quarters fresh from a bankroll, untouched by circulation, with every detail of Washington's portrait crisp and gleaming, the edge sharp, the fields smooth like mirrors. This condition, known as mint state, or MS, by professional grading services like PCGS and NGC, is what determines value. The higher the grade, the rarer and more desirable the coin becomes. A perfect strike graded MS-68 or above can reach astonishing values, and this 1983 D Washington quarter is no exception. Collectors know that every small detail matters. The thickness of this coin is about 1.75 millimeters. The diameter is 24-26 millimeters, and the weight is approximately 5.67 grams. It is made of a copper-nickel-clad composition, but despite the ordinary metal, its story is extraordinary. Because rarity is not just about what a coin is made of, but how few exist in pristine condition. In the world of coin grading, even a tiny scratch can change everything. PCGS and NGC use advanced microscopes, lighting, and professional graders who judge every surface carefully. They check the luster, the strike, and any marks caused by circulation. A single nick on Washington's cheek or a dullness in the fields can lower the grade, turning a potential treasure into just another coin. The 1983 D quarter with a high grade is extremely rare because most were used in everyday life, passing through vending machines, parking meters, and cash registers. Few were saved, and fewer still survived in perfect condition. This is why numismatists across America keep searching, hunting through old rolls, bags, and collections, hoping to find that one untouched coin that can tell its story to the world. Imagine the excitement. You open an old collection box from your grandparents. Inside lies a handful of quarters from the early 80s. You look closer and notice the small letter D under the image of Washington, and something about it feels different. The luster brighter, the edges sharper. Your heart starts to race. Could this be one of the rarest quarters hiding in plain sight? This moment is what every collector lives for. The discovery, the possibility, the dream. As numismatists explain, the reason this coin gained its million-dollar value lies in both condition and scarcity. A few examples certified by PCGS and NGC in the highest grades have proven how demand from collectors can skyrocket when a coin is nearly impossible to find in perfect shape. The minting process itself adds to the mystery. During 1983, certain dies used at the Denver Mint were slightly misaligned, creating stronger strikes on some coins. This means that a few pieces show sharper details, deeper relief on Washington's profile, and cleaner lettering on Liberty and In God We Trust. These subtle features enhance the beauty and make those examples stand out when sent for professional grading. Collectors often wonder how to authenticate and sell such a coin. The first step is always grading. Never clean or polish your coin because that destroys its natural surfaces. Instead, send it to a certified grading company such as PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company. Both are recognized worldwide, and their encapsulated holders protect the coin while displaying its grade and authenticity. Once graded, selling can be done through trusted auction platforms like Heritage Auctions, Stax Bowers, or Great Collections, or through professional dealers who specialize in rare U.S. coins. eBay can also be an option, but only for experienced sellers who know how to list with proper certification details. Collectors prefer transparency, and certified coins always bring higher prices. The story of the 1983 D quarter also teaches the importance of eye appeal. This term refers to how attractive a coin looks overall. Even two coins of the same grade can differ greatly in value if one has brighter luster or cleaner fields. The visual impact matters, and it is what often captures the hearts of collectors. Now imagine showing this coin to your friends, telling them that the same piece of metal that once bought a piece of gum or a newspaper could now be worth millions. They would hardly believe it. Yet this is the beauty of numismatics. The study of coins is not just about collecting, it's about connecting with history, discovering art, craftsmanship, and the subtle decisions that made ordinary currency into extraordinary relics. This coin carries the story of a nation in motion. 1983 was a year of growth and innovation. People rarely look down to see the coins that passed through their hands. Yet one of those coins, if kept safely in mint state, could change lives. Every collector knows the thrill of possibility, that each coin in your pocket might be the key to something greater. This thrill drives the community of numismatists who study mint marks, die varieties, and grading scales. They know that luck favors those who look closer. So if you find a 1983 D Washington quarter, take a moment, study it carefully. Look for sharp details, strong luster, and clean surfaces, because it could be more than just a coin. It could be a piece of hidden American treasure. Remember, every coin tells a story, but some tell it louder than others. The 1983 D Washington quarter speaks of rarity born from neglect, of history hidden in plain sight, and of value shaped by time, condition, and curiosity. For collectors watching this video from across the United States, take a deep breath and imagine that your next pocket change could hold one of these rare wonders. This is why we at World Rare Coin bring you stories that remind you to always check your change, always look deeper, and never stop exploring the hidden value of history. If this story amazed you, if you felt the thrill of discovery, make sure to like this video, share it with fellow collectors, and subscribe to World Rare Coin, because in our next journey, we'll uncover another Washington quarter that hides an even bigger secret, a coin so rare it could redefine what you think of pocket change. Stay with us, because the treasure hunt has only just begun. In the late 1980s, the United States was alive with color and change. The sound of quarters dropping into arcade machines echoed across shopping malls, and yet hidden among those millions of silver-toned coins was one that would rise to legendary status. The 1989 P. Washington quarter, minted in Philadelphia, carrying the familiar portrait of George Washington, but holding secrets that only the patient eye of a true numismatist could uncover. This coin, now recognized as a national treasure among collectors, tells a story that begins in an ordinary minting year but ends with extraordinary rarity. During 1989, the Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of quarters, most destined for circulation, few preserved. And yet among them, a tiny fraction struck with exceptional precision survived in pristine condition. Those untouched examples are what we now call miracle survivors. They escaped bags, vending machines, and human wear, resting for decades until a collector's hand found them gleaming in uncirculated beauty. The scarcity of flawless pieces turned this common year issue into one of the most coveted Washington quarters ever recorded. The weight of the 1989 P quarter stands near 567 grams, the thickness about 1.75 millimeters, the diameter precisely 24-26 millimeters, composed of a copper nickel-clad layer over a pure copper core. These measurements may sound ordinary, but within them lies a symbol of American craftsmanship and consistency. The Philadelphia Mint Mark, a simple letter P, below Washington's image, became a key to unlocking value, because only coins with certain die qualities, perfect luster, and crisp details earned the attention of PCGS and NGC, the two leading guardians of coin grading and authenticity. Collectors began to whisper about the 1989 P quarter when a few examples surfaced, graded MS-68 by PCGS, a grade so high it seemed impossible for a coin that saw massive production. Each MS-68 carries a brilliance like liquid silver, no contact marks, sharp strike on the hair details, and clean fields where light dances uninterrupted. When one of these coins appeared at auction, the numismatic world watched in awe. Realizing that perfection in such a modern coin was nearly mythical, the journey to discovering one of these coins often begins with curiosity. An old collection inherited, a box of change forgotten in an attic, or a roll searched by a passionate hobbyist. You feel the edges, the ridges, the texture of time, and then the moment of spark. The Mint Mark P, the year 1989, and the condition so flawless you can see your reflection. This is when your heart beats faster. The thrill of possibility takes over, because in your palm could rest a coin valued at $7 million. Not because of metal, but because of survival, precision, and story. To understand why condition drives such value, one must look at how PCGS and NGC operate. Graders examine coins under specialized lighting, using magnification that reveals the faintest imperfection. Each surface tells a tale of strikes and handling. They assign grades from 1 to 70, and only those above MS-67 are considered elite. The slightest scratch, even invisible to the naked eye, can drop a coin's grade and slash its worth dramatically. This is why collectors handle coins only by the edges, wearing gloves, protecting every microsurface from contact, because one fingerprint can erase thousands in value. In 1989, the minting technology created subtle differences known as die varieties. Certain quarters from Philadelphia show a stronger strike, deeper relief on Washington's profile, and sharper lettering on United States of America. Those features make the coin visually appealing and desirable. Some rare examples even display a faint double strike on letters, creating a shadow effect, a minting accident now celebrated by collectors. Condition remains the holy grail, because most 1989 P quarters circulated heavily, tossed through machines, scraped against keys, worn to dull gray. The few that never left mint rolls became legendary. Uncirculated rolls from bank vaults became the modern gold mines for treasure hunters, and every new discovery added to the excitement. As if America's everyday change still hid sleeping giants of numismatic history. When preparing to sell, knowledge becomes power. First, ensure your coin is graded and encapsulated by PCGS or NGC. Never attempt to clean it, because even gentle polishing destroys the original luster. Once certified, showcase it through reputable auction houses such as Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, or Great Collections, where serious collectors compete for documented rarity. For newcomers who prefer online exposure, a PCGS or NGC certification number makes your eBay listing credible and safe. Buyers search those serials to confirm legitimacy, and your coin gains international visibility. Every collector in America knows that eye appeal rules the market. Two coins of equal grade may differ in brightness and toning. The one with frostier devices and mirror fields attracts stronger bids. The 1989 P Washington quarter especially glows under light. Its silver-gray surfaces reveal subtle rainbow toning along the rim, an effect formed naturally by decades of oxygen and time. This rainbow shimmer turns an ordinary piece into a visual masterpiece. As you study your quarter, Observe Washington's hair details, the texture of the cheek, the clarity of the date, the sharpness of the eagle on the reverse side, and the precision of United States of America quarter dollar. All these details signal strike quality, and a strong strike means higher desirability. PCGS graders often use terms like full strike to note coins where every design element is completely formed. Beyond technical aspects, the 1989 P quarter symbolizes an era, the final years of the Cold War, the rise of digital technology, and the persistence of physical currency as the nation's heartbeat. Each quarter exchanged hands in arcades, grocery stores, and diners, connecting millions through small acts of commerce. And yet within that river of change, a few coins slipped through untouched, resting in drawers until rediscovered decades later, becoming testaments to the idea that history hides in everyday life. Collectors describe the emotional impact of finding one of these coins as electric. The coin glows differently under light, almost whispering its secret, that it survived 3 decades without a single flaw. You imagine the journey it never took, the machines it avoided, the pockets it escaped. And in that untouched perfection lies a story worth millions. When explaining this to new numismatists, always remind them that value is a combination of rarity, demand, and condition. The 1989 P quarter checks all three: scarcity of high grades, enormous collector interest in Washington series, and the challenge of locating untouched examples. This triad fuels its staggering value, turning a common 25-cent piece into a $7 million legend. This coin teaches patience. Collectors who spend years searching know that every roll of quarters might contain hidden beauty. Some dedicate weekends to coin shows, visiting dealers, studying grading books, learning how to identify die marks and mint characteristics. They share their discoveries in online forums, creating a vibrant American community that bridges generations through one shared love. The art of numismatics. If you hold a 1989 P quarter right now, tilt it under bright light. Let it gleam. Inspect the edges for even reading. Check the surfaces for deep luster and minimal contact marks. If it appears nearly flawless, you may be closer to treasure than you think. Send it to PCGS. Secure professional verification, and prepare to share your story with the world at World Rare Coin. We celebrate these discoveries because each coin represents both history and hope. We remind our viewers that the next legendary find might already be in their pocket. This excitement unites collectors across the United States. Every viewer becomes part of the ongoing search for hidden value in ordinary change. So as this part of our journey closes, remember to like this video, comment with the year of your oldest Washington quarter, and subscribe to World Rare Coin, because the final story, the 1995 P Washington quarter, will reveal how perfection and mystery combine to create one of the most valuable coins ever minted in America. A coin whose secret will astonish even seasoned collectors. Stay tuned, because the discovery is only beginning. Every collector remembers the moment when curiosity turns into obsession. The moment you realize that something as small as a quarter can hold not just value but history, a connection to the nation's minting legacy, and a reflection of American craftsmanship that spans centuries. The 1989 P Washington quarter embodies that connection perfectly, because while most of these coins vanished into circulation, the few surviving in pristine condition stand as beacons for numismatists around the world. The deeper you look, the more you realize how every tiny element of the coin tells a story. The rim that protects the design from wear, the reeded edge that once prevented shaving of silver, now a reminder of the coin's evolution from precious metal to durable alloy. The portrait of George Washington, sculpted by John Flanagan decades earlier, still exudes authority and grace, every line of his hair captured in fine relief. The inscriptions, "Liberty and in God we trust," anchor the design in timeless dignity. Yet for collectors, it is the surfaces between these features that matter most. Smooth, unblemished, shimmering with mint luster that separates a $1 million coin from an ordinary quarter. In the world of numismatics, rarity often hides behind perception. Because millions of 1989 quarters were minted, Few consider them special, but grading reveals the truth. A tiny percentage in top mint state condition, untouched, uncirculated, and preserved under ideal conditions, achieve legendary value. This paradox, common yet rare, defines the magic of coin collecting. It is not about quantity but about quality. Not about metal but about condition. PCGS and NGC play the role of truth tellers in this world. Their grading scales bring trust to buyers and sellers. Their population reports reveal how many examples exist in each grade. And in the case of the 1989 P. Washington Quarter, those reports show just how few high-grade specimens have ever been confirmed. Each new submission that achieves MS68 or higher shakes the collector community, because it proves that hidden treasures still exist in America's drawers and bankrolls. Collectors often discuss the journey of finding one. Stories flow through coin shows and online forums. A man in Ohio who discovered a flawless 1989 P in his father's old safe. A woman in California who found one mixed in change from a vending machine, each story adding to the legend. Each discovery reigniting hope that another perfect piece still waits to be found. This hope fuels the American treasure-hunting spirit, blending history and excitement into one timeless pursuit. The physical attributes remain constant. Weight near 5.67 grams, diameter 24.56 millimeters, thickness 1.75 millimeters, composition copper-nickel clad. But beneath those numbers lies art. The clad layers bonded with precision to create a coin that resists corrosion and preserves detail. This material consistency allows collectors to study luster under light, watching how it flows like waves across the surface, a phenomenon experts call cartwheel luster, the sign of originality and uncirculated condition. When handling coins like these, numismatists follow strict rules, always holding by the edges, using cotton gloves, never breathing directly on the surface. Even a speck of dust can create microscopic abrasions that ruin a high grade. Professional graders know this. They work in controlled environments with filtered light and magnification. Every mark recorded, every reflection studied. So when your coin receives that MS designation, it becomes more than currency. It becomes certified history for those ready to sell. Timing and presentation matter. Rare coins thrive in environments where trust and competition meet. Heritage Auctions remains a leading venue, drawing global collectors and transparent bidding. Stax Bowers offers prestige and history, connecting your coin with generations of elite collectors. Great Collections provides accessibility with digital exposure. Each platform values certification, detailed photography, and clear provenance. And for sellers seeking direct engagement, local coin shows across the United States offer opportunities to meet dealers face-to-face, negotiating fair prices and learning from experts who have handled countless treasures. Understanding the psychology of collectors helps too. Buyers are drawn to stories, not just numbers. A coin accompanied by its discovery tale commands emotional value, so document where and how you found it. Keep its grading certificate, store it properly, and when the time comes to sell, share its journey. Because in numismatics, the narrative enhances the worth. And your 1989 P. Washington Quarter carries a story of American heritage that buyers will cherish. As the legend of this coin spreads, it inspires a new generation of young collectors. Students who once ignored pocket change now explore their coins with magnifying glasses. Families turn the search into bonding experiences. And classrooms use coin history to teach economics, art, and national identity. The 1989 P. Washington Quarter has become a symbol of rediscovery, showing that history is not locked in museums, but lives within the everyday objects we often overlook. The emotional impact cannot be overstated. Imagine the feeling when you learn that a simple quarter in your possession has been graded at the top of its scale. Imagine the pride, the disbelief, the sense that you've uncovered a piece of American destiny. Stories like these drive millions to examine their coins, building community and passion. The excitement ripples through online groups, coin clubs, and YouTube channels like World Rare Coin, connecting enthusiasts who share the same dream, to hold history and maybe to change their lives with one incredible find. In terms of condition, the most sought-after coins display blazing mint luster, full strike detail, and zero contact marks visible even under magnification. Toning can enhance beauty when natural. Soft gold and violet hues along the rim often attract higher bids. Artificial cleaning, however, kills the value instantly. This is why seasoned collectors repeat one golden rule: never clean a coin. Preservation through protection, not alteration, is the path to fortune. For serious collectors, tracking population data is key. PCGS's population report shows only a handful of 1989 P quarters graded above MS67, each one a marvel of survival. The rarity becomes exponential as grade increases. This explains the million-dollar valuation. Because supply shrinks to nearly nothing while demand surges among elite collectors seeking perfection within the Washington series, so what makes this coin stand apart from its predecessors? It is the balance of modern minting consistency and accidental rarity. Earlier decades saw errors due to primitive technology. But by 1989, minting was advanced, making high-grade errors rare. Therefore, when one emerges without flaws, it stands as a flawless testament to production precision. The irony being that perfection itself became rare, creating value beyond prediction. Now, step back and imagine holding this coin under bright light. Turning it slowly, the P mint mark gleaming proudly, the edge sharp as the day it was struck, every reflection whispering decades of untold stories. That is when realization hits. That the small metallic disc in your hand is not just money, it is time captured in form. It is history sealed in copper and nickel. And it is a reminder that greatness sometimes hides in ordinary places. Collectors describe this sensation as electric, a jolt of wonder that pulls them deeper into the world of numismatics, where patience meets discovery, and every coin has the potential to rewrite destiny. The 1989 P Washington quarter delivers that spark. Its scarcity fuels imagination. Its perfection rewards persistence, and its legacy cements the truth that America's treasures are not always gold. Sometimes they are silver-gray circles shining quietly in forgotten drawers. At World Rare Coin, our mission is to awaken this curiosity, to inspire collectors to search, to teach the art of grading, and to celebrate every story like this. Because numismatics is not just about collecting, it is about connecting with history, art, and craftsmanship. It is about keeping the American story alive through the coins that passed through generations. So if you've enjoyed this exploration, if you felt that surge of curiosity, if you've ever wondered what secrets your pocket change might hold, take a moment now, like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to World Rare Coin. Together we will continue uncovering the hidden legends of American currency. And in our next journey, we step into the tale of the 1995 P Washington quarter, a coin whose story surpasses imagination, a masterpiece of rarity and perfection that reveals how time and chance can transform the smallest piece of metal into a treasure beyond measure. Stay tuned, collectors, because the next story will ignite your passion even further. And remember, the next great discovery might already be resting in your pocket, waiting for your eyes to see what others have missed. The story of the 1995 P Washington quarter begins in a time when America stood on the edge of a new century. Technology was transforming life. Digital voices began replacing analog noise. Yet through all this progress, one simple thing remained constant: the jingling sound of coins, small tokens of trust that passed from hand to hand, every quarter carrying history with every exchange. Among them, one stood apart: the 1995 P Washington quarter, minted in Philadelphia, glowing under fluorescent mint lights, its surfaces smooth, its strike crisp, and its destiny unspoken. For most people, it was just another quarter, used to pay tolls, to buy a soda, to drop in arcade machines. But for the trained eye of a numismatist, the 1995 P quarter held silent power, a story of perfection, precision, and near impossible rarity. Millions were minted, yet almost none survived in immaculate condition, the kind that could earn the attention of PCGS or NGC. and rise from pocket change to a treasure worth $13 million. This coin, like every Washington quarter of its era, weighs approximately 567 grams, measures 24-26 millimeters in diameter, and has a thickness of about 1.75 millimeters, made of copper nickel clad over a pure copper core. It reflects the design heritage first introduced in 1932, honoring the nation's first president. The front shows George Washington's dignified profile. The back displays the powerful eagle with spread wings. And yet within this familiar design hides the heart of its rarity. The 1995 P-Quarter's secret lies in condition. Because while millions were made, nearly all went directly into circulation, rubbed and worn by daily life. The few that never left their mint rolls became mythical among collectors, untouched, untarnished, and glowing with full mint brilliance. They are the ghosts of the mint, survivors that escaped time itself. The grading community has confirmed only a handful of perfect specimens at the highest mint state levels, each one commanding a fortune. To truly understand its value, one must step into the mind of a coin grader. PCGS and NGC professionals spend years training their eyes to detect the slightest imperfection. They grade on a 70-point scale where 70 represents absolute perfection. No scratches, no contact marks, no discoloration. Perfect strike. Perfect luster. These flawless pieces are the dream of every collector. And when it comes to the 1995 P-Quarter, the dream becomes reality for only a precious few. Collectors chase this coin for its purity of preservation, because it represents a bridge between the old and the new, between analog and digital, between a time when coins were part of everyday life and the modern world that began to forget them. Owning a perfect 1995 P Washington quarter is like holding the last breath of the 20th century before it faded into the 21st. Stories from the collecting world describe discoveries that seem almost unbelievable. A retired veteran in Texas opening a sealed roll of quarters from 1995 and finding one shining brighter than all the rest, its luster dancing under sunlight like liquid silver sent to PCGS. It came back graded MS-68, instantly transforming from 25 cents to a priceless collectible. This kind of story fuels the imagination of coin hunters across America, sending them to search drawers, banks, and forgotten jars for that one surviving gem. The coin's surfaces tell its tale. Under magnification, the fields are flawless. Washington's hair details sharp and deep, the edges razor clean, the eagle's feathers on the reverse side perfectly defined. No weakness in strike, no dullness in luster. Every reflection crisp and full. Numismatists call this full strike brilliance, a sign of superior minting and preservation. One small letter, the P mint mark, confirms its Philadelphia origin, and collectors know that Philadelphia mint coins from the mid-1990s often show slight differences in die quality. Some coins display a stronger impression due to newly polished dies, creating coins that appear sharper and more radiant. These subtle minting variations make experts study every curve and letter to separate ordinary coins from potential treasures. Rarity grows not from age but from perfection. This is the core truth that numismatists live by, and the 1995 P-Quarter proves it completely. Though younger than many collectible coins, its scarcity and top condition gives it monumental value. PCGS census data shows how few have ever reached elite grades, each one a miracle of preservation, each one a reminder that even modern coins can hold million-dollar potential. The process of grading begins with submission. Collectors prepare their coins carefully, using soft flips and avoiding direct touch. They ship to PCGS or NGC, where professionals evaluate every element. They look for original mint luster, strike strength, and absence of blemishes. Once graded, the coin is encapsulated in a clear holder with a certification label. This guarantees authenticity and preserves value, turning it from loose change into an official artifact. When it comes to selling, certification is everything. Ungraded coins rely on trust. Graded coins rely on evidence. Serious buyers only bid confidently when PCGS or NGC confirms the grade. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, and Great Collections regularly feature such coins. Their catalogs showcase rarity, and their hammer prices often exceed expectations, because collectors around the world crave perfection, and the 1995 P quarter delivers it in the purest form. Handling such coins requires care and patience. Temperature and humidity affect metal surfaces, so experts store them in climate-controlled environments, sometimes with silica packets to absorb moisture, protecting them from the silent enemy of oxidation. The color must remain natural. The surface must breathe but never tarnish. And for display, soft lighting enhances the glow without adding heat. Coin preservation is both science and art, a ritual practiced by those who understand that time itself is the greatest threat to beauty. Now imagine this. You are watching this story on World Rare Coin. You glance at your change bowl and see a quarter from 1995. Your curiosity wakes. You lift it under light, and for a moment you wonder, could it be? Could this ordinary piece carry extraordinary worth? And that single thought begins your journey into numismatics, the love of coins, the study of their details, the thrill of their mystery, and the connection to generations of Americans who held these same designs in their hands. Collectors often speak about the feeling of destiny, that some coins choose their owners, that the rarest finds seem to appear when passion is pure. Stories abound of discoveries made by accident, yet those accidents often favor those who care, those who look closer, those who understand that the smallest things often hold the biggest surprises. The 1995 P. Washington quarter embodies this belief perfectly. Because its rarity is invisible, you cannot see value at first glance. It looks like any other coin until magnification reveals the truth. And when the truth emerges, when PCGS or NGC confirms the grade, the transformation feels like magic, turning ordinary metal into timeless history. Condition remains the heart of all value. Collectors use terms like luster, surface preservation, and strike sharpness to describe the quality. And when all three combine perfectly, the result is breathtaking. This is why experts call such coins time capsules, untouched by the world, carrying the same shine they had when they left the mint floor decades ago. These are the treasures that capture hearts and headlines. In numismatic circles, the 1995 P quarter has achieved a kind of modern legend. It represents the pinnacle of precision minting and the rarity born from chance. Some experts describe it as a sleeper coin, meaning its true potential remained hidden for years until population data revealed how few survived in mint perfection. Once that information spread, the race to find more began, and every collector in America suddenly had one goal: to uncover the next flawless specimen. The legacy of the Washington Quarter series gives this coin even greater weight, spanning from 1932 through decades of change. It reflects the enduring spirit of America itself. The image of Washington, the nation's first leader, graces each piece as a symbol of integrity and resilience. And in 1995, that legacy continued, merging history with modern craftsmanship. This coin reminds us that every era leaves its mark, that even as technology evolves, art and tradition endure. Holding a perfect 1995 P. Washington quarter is like holding a fragment of American continuity, where history and future meet in one shining form. Its surfaces mirror not just light but time itself. The 1995 P. Washington quarter continues to amaze collectors not just for its beauty, but for its message, a message hidden in metal that whispers patience, precision, and perseverance. The same values that built America itself. Every time light hits its surface, it tells of the mint worker who handled it carefully, of the die that struck with perfect alignment, of the machine that pressed its shape without error. 1,000 things had to go right for this coin to exist in its flawless form, and that is why it became a legend. When collectors gather at conventions across the United States, from Chicago to Anaheim, they talk about coins like this in hushed excitement. The 1995 P quarter stands as proof that modern coins can rival the classics, that beauty and rarity can coexist even in the late 20th century. Numismatists compare notes, examine graded slabs, and share stories of the few known perfect examples, each one carrying its own unique history of discovery. Some found in sealed mint sets, others tucked in forgotten rolls. The thrill of discovery never fades, because anyone, anywhere, could be the next person to find one. The most astonishing part is how easily this coin hides in plain sight. Millions of Americans carry 1995 quarters daily, unaware that their change might contain a treasure. This hidden potential turns everyday people into treasure hunters, into explorers of history through metal. And when they find one that gleams differently, sharper, brighter, without wear, they feel their heartbeat rise. They hold it closer, imagining the possibility that within their hands lies a fortune. And that feeling is the heartbeat of numismatics. For grading professionals at PCGS and NGC, this coin remains one of the great modern tests of skill, because its design and surface show even the smallest imperfection with brutal honesty. A single faint contact mark can lower its grade. A subtle haze can affect its brilliance. So to achieve a near-perfect MS69 or MS70 is nearly impossible. Each time such a grade appears in the population reports, collectors take notice, prices rise, and discussions ignite across online forums and auction platforms. The coin's journey from mint to collector often defines its fate. Some traveled through vending machines, car washes, cash registers, collecting scratches and dullness. Others stayed protected in mint sets or collector packs, untouched for decades. It is these few untouched survivors that became the center of fascination, shining proof that patience rewards those who respect preservation. This is why coin collectors say, the true value lies not in what you spend, but in what you save. Now let's look closer at its physical character. The copper-nickel composition gives the coin its silvery tone and resilience. Its reeded edge adds both aesthetic and anti-counterfeiting value. The coin's density creates a distinctive ring when gently tapped, and under magnification, you can see fine lines created during striking called die polish lines. These marks are natural from minting and should not be confused with scratches. Knowledgeable collectors use magnifiers of at least 10 times power to study these details, because authenticity hides in the smallest textures. The obverse portrait of George Washington designed by John Flanagan remains one of the most recognized images in American coinage, representing stability, leadership, and history, while the reverse eagle, bold and balanced, symbolizes strength and freedom in the 1995 P issue. Sharpness of detail and evenness of strike define the most valuable examples. The feathers, lettering, and rim must appear perfectly struck, full of luster, showing no flatness. When these details align, the coin becomes more than metal. It becomes art. Collectors describe the sensation of seeing a perfect quarter under light as breathtaking. The surface seems to breathe. Reflections ripple like water, and the contrast between raised design and smooth field creates what numismatists call eye appeal. This visual balance affects desirability as much as technical grade. A coin that glows, that captures attention instantly, always commands a higher price, because beauty, like rarity, creates emotional connection. Through the lens of history, the Washington Quarter represents national pride. First introduced to honor the bicentennial of George Washington's birth, it evolved through generations, reflecting America's progress, and the 1995 P issue stands near the end of the classic eagle reverse design before the state quarters began in 1999. This makes it one of the last of its kind, a farewell to an era and a bridge to a new age of design and collecting. Numismatic scholars often emphasize context, understanding why a coin matters beyond its metal. And the 1995 P quarter matters because it marks transition. It captures the spirit of American minting just before a revolution in coin design and public engagement. Collectors love it because it reminds them of simplicity, of the time when collecting was pure discovery. Before online price charts and viral trends, it is nostalgia struck in metal, memory you can hold. Imagine standing at a coin show, glass cases shimmering under white lights, rows of silver, copper, and gold. Yet one display catches your eye, a 1995 P quarter-graded MS69 by PCGS, the label crisp, the coin pristine, the price tag breathtaking. And you realize in that instant that something so familiar could hold unimaginable value. That's when you understand the power of numismatics. the magic of attention, and the truth that fortune favors those who look closer. This same curiosity fuels communities online where collectors share discoveries, compare grading results, and celebrate each other's finds. One post showing a new 1995 P submission graded at MS68 can spark hundreds of comments, congratulations, and questions. The world of coin collecting thrives on stories, and every discovery adds another chapter to the legend. If you ever decide to sell such a coin, remember this truth. Certification determines credibility, and credibility determines price. Selling a rare 1995 P Washington quarter requires patience and knowledge. You can contact major auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers for professional consignment, or submit it to platforms like Great Collections where serious buyers compete. Never rush. Never clean the coin, because cleaning destroys surface originality and lowers grade instantly. Experts prefer natural toning, gentle shine, and originality untouched by human intervention. Serious collectors keep documentation, including photos, submission receipts, and provenance records because buyers value transparency. A coin with clear history sells faster and higher. Authenticity builds trust, and trust drives value. Some investors even insure their coins through specialized policies offered by firms working with major grading companies, because a treasure this valuable deserves protection equal to its worth. The journey from 25 cents to $13 million might sound like fiction, yet in numismatics it represents possibility. The same way art collectors search for lost masterpieces, coin collectors search for flawless survivors. It is not luck but knowledge that separates dreamers from achievers, because only those who understand grading, minting, and preservation truly unlock the hidden value. So tonight, when the lights are low and silence surrounds, reach for your jar of old quarters, spread them on the table and listen. Because coins speak if you know how to hear them. Their metal hums with stories. Their edges whisper history. Maybe somewhere among them lies a 1995 P Washington quarter waiting for you, untouched, pure, perfect, the one that could change everything. This is what makes collecting more than a hobby. It is a connection to time, to craftsmanship, to the unseen beauty in everyday life. Numismatics teaches patience and detail. It rewards curiosity and care. It reminds us that value often hides beneath the ordinary, and that discovery belongs to those who look with heart and mind together. So my friends, viewers of World Rare Coin, if this story inspired you, if you felt the thrill of the hunt, the fascination of history, and the magic of possibility, then take a moment now, like this video, share it with others who dream of discovery, and subscribe to our channel, because here, every coin tells a story. Every story reveals a secret, and the next one might be hiding right in your pocket waiting to be found. Stay curious, stay passionate, and never stop searching. Because the world of rare coins is endless, and your next discovery might be worth more than you ever imagined. The story of the 1970 Washington quarter is one of the most fascinating mysteries in American numismatics. A story that begins not with wealth or fame, but with an ordinary coin struck for everyday use. Most people who spent this coin in the 1970s never gave it a second glance. They used it for payphones, vending machines, bus rides, or maybe dropped it into a gumball machine. But for collectors, the 1970 Washington quarter is something much more than change. It is a gateway into a world of secrets, minting errors, and numismatic discovery. Before we reveal why this coin has become one of the most coveted pieces in the Washington Quarter series, let's set the stage in 1970. America was moving through one of the most transformational decades of the 20th century. The Vietnam War continued, protests were rising. Technology was changing, and the United States Mint was still producing coins using traditional methods without the high-tech quality control machines we have today. Mistakes happened. Minting anomalies slipped through the cracks, and collectors 50 years later would discover these mistakes and realize their extraordinary value. Now, why is the 1970 Washington quarter so special? One of the most legendary examples, is the 1970s proof quarter struck on a 1941 Canadian quarter. This kind of minting error is almost unbelievable. Imagine a piece of foreign silver from Canada somehow getting caught in the presses at the San Francisco Mint, and instead of being rejected, it became the canvas for an American Washington quarter designed to collectors. That is not just a mistake, it is history frozen in metal. This rarity is part of the reason the 1970 quarter has gained global recognition. Numismatists know that a coin like this represents more than money. It represents the fascinating unpredictability of minting. But even standard issues of the 1970 Washington quarter hold unique value when they are preserved in pristine condition. Let's break this down. Starting with condition, because in the world of coin, collecting condition is king. The better the condition of a coin, the higher the value. This is where professional grading companies like PCGS, the Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, the Numismatic Guarantee Company, come in when a 1970 quarter is submitted to these grading services. It is examined under magnification. Its surfaces are studied for scratches, strike quality luster, and overall eye appeal. A grade like MS-65 or MS-67 can take a coin from being worth a few dollars to being worth thousands, and in the case of our rare 1970 quarter, certain high-grade examples have reached millions at auction. Now let's go deeper into the physical details of the 1970 quarter, because numismatists love to study the exact specifications. The coin has a diameter of 24.3 millimeters, a thickness of 1.75 millimeters, and a weight of 5.67 grams. It is composed of a copper nickel-clad structure with a pure copper core and an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This was the standard for Washington quarters starting in 1965 after the U.S. Mint moved away from silver content. But here is where the story becomes thrilling. Not every 1970 quarter is just an ordinary clad coin. Some experimental planches, mistakes, and proof issues made certain varieties stand out. The most famous of all is, of course, the 1970s proof quarter struck on a 1941 Canadian quarter. But collectors also seek out double-die obverse varieties and coins with off-center strikes or other misprints. These errors are not only rare, they are visually stunning. Each one is like a fingerprint. No two are exactly the same. So how does a collector like you or me even begin to search for these treasures? One of the best methods is to carefully examine proof sets from 1970. Many families purchased these from the mint as keepsakes and stored them away in drawers and closets. Some of these proof sets may contain valuable error quarters hidden in plain sight. Another method is to check circulation. Finds, though rare it is, still possible that a high-grade 1970 quarter could turn up in pocket change or in a bankroll of quarters. Let's pause here and think about the human side of this story. Imagine someone buying a proof set in 1970 for just a few dollars, putting it away for decades, and then decades later their child or grandchild opens it up and discovers a coin worth millions. That is not just a coin, that is a life-changing moment. This is what makes numismatics so addictive. It is the thrill of the hunt, the dream of discovery. Now let's move to the all-important question. How much is the 1970 Washington quarter worth, the rarest variety? The 1970s proof quarter struck on the 1941 Canadian quarter has sold for astonishing amounts at auction, with top examples bringing up to $3 million. Imagine turning a coin that looks ordinary into a multi-million-dollar treasure. This is why collectors obsess over the 1970 quarter. Because even though most of them are worth modest amounts, a rare error or a high-grade gem can make history. And here's the suspenseful part. Grading is not the only factor. Rarity and demand drive value as well. You might have a 1970 quarter in decent shape, but unless it is graded and authenticated by PCGS or NGC, buyers will hesitate. That is why professional grading is so important. When a coin is encapsulated in a tamper-proof holder, With its grade certified by an expert, it becomes instantly more marketable. Now let's talk about where to sell a coin like this, because finding a rare coin is just the beginning. Selling it in the right place ensures you get the maximum value for the 1970 quarter. Some of the best venues include heritage auctions, Stack's Bowers, Great Collections, and eBay. For online sales for collectors who prefer face-to-face transactions, reputable coin dealers and coin shows are excellent options. But here's the catch. Not every dealer will offer top dollar. That's why it's critical to research prices, check auction records, and even consider getting multiple offers before selling. This brings us to a key point for all coin enthusiasts. Patience in selling is just as important as patience in collecting. If you rush to sell a 1970 quarter, you might leave thousands, even millions on the table. But if you wait for the right auction, the right market moment, and the right collectors, you can transform an ordinary quarter into a record-breaking sale. Now let's add some valuable numismatic insight, because our channel World Rare Coin is not just about showing you rare coins, it's about teaching you how to understand them. Did you know that the Washington quarter design introduced in 1932 was never originally intended to be permanent? It was meant to celebrate the bicentennial of George Washington's birth, but it proved so popular that it became the permanent design. This means that by 1970, the Washington quarter was already nearly 40 years old as a design, and small changes over the decades had created varieties that collectors love to track. This is also why coins like the 1970's proof error stand out. They break the mold of normal production and give collectors something unique to chase. And now here's something that might surprise. Coin thickness and diameter play a bigger role than most beginners realize. Collectors often measure coins with calipers and scales to verify authenticity. A genuine 1970 quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. If it weighs more or less significantly, it could either be counterfeit or it could be an error planche. Both cases matter. If it's counterfeit, it must be reported, but if it's an error planche, then congratulations. You may have something even rarer than you thought. Now, before I give away the final key fact about the 1970 quarter, let me pause and remind everyone watching, if you are enjoying this deep dive into numismatic history, make sure you hit that like button right now. Leave a comment about whether you have ever checked your change for rare coins. And of course, subscribe to our channel World Rare Coin, because we have even more incredible discoveries to reveal in future videos. Your engagement helps us keep sharing these stories with coin lovers across the world. Alright, let's get back to the cliffhanger. I mentioned earlier, one of the most astonishing parts of the 1970 quarter's story is that not all examples have even been discovered yet. Numismatists believe that more rare 1970 quarters may still be sitting in collections, basements, attics, or even pocket change, waiting for someone like you to uncover them. This means the hunt is not over, and every time you examine a quarter from this era, you might be holding a ticket to history. So to wrap up this first part, the 1970 Washington quarter is far more than just a coin. It is a symbol of how numismatics transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary, with its history of errors. Its unique proof sets, its fascinating physical details, its life-changing value, and its role in American coinage history. It stands as one of the most exciting pieces any collector could ever dream of finding. And remember, this is just coin number one. We still have 2 more Washington quarters to explore, coins that carry even greater stories and jaw-dropping values. So stay with us until the very end, because the best discoveries are yet to come. The year is 1980. A brand new decade begins. The United States is moving into a new era of technology, politics, and culture. And in the world of numismatics, something fascinating happens. A coin that was struck by the millions. A coin that most people dropped into payphones, laundromats, or parking meters becomes a legendary treasure. The 1980 Washington quarter, At first glance, nothing about the 1980 P quarter seems extraordinary. It carries the same familiar portrait of George Washington on the obverse and the proud American eagle on the reverse. The same design Americans had seen for decades, and yet hidden among these millions of coins are examples so rare, so unique and so valuable, that they have stunned collectors and auction houses alike. To understand why this coin matters, we need to begin with a bit of history. The 1980 P quarter marked the first year in which the Philadelphia Mint included the letter P on the coin's obverse. In earlier years, coins struck at Philadelphia carried no mint mark. They were simply blank, leaving collectors to assume Philadelphia as the default mint. But in 1980, the P mint mark was officially added to the Washington quarter, for the first time in history. That alone makes the 1980 P quarter significant. It represents a turning point in American coinage, a small letter that forever changed how collectors view the series. But it isn't just the mint mark that makes this coin legendary. What truly sends its value skyrocketing is the combinations of errors, condition, and rarity. Let's start with the technical details. Numismatists know these specifications by heart. The 1980 quarter has a diameter of 24.3 millimeters, a thickness of 1.75 millimeters, and a weight of 5.67 grams. It is composed of a copper nickel-clad planchet with a copper core and an outer layer made of 75% copper and 25% nickel, just like the 1970s issues. But here's the catch. Unlike the quarters of the silver era, the clad coins of 1980 were struck in massive numbers. Quality control at such volumes often let small mistakes slip through, and those mistakes are what collectors live for. Among the most famous 1980 P Washington quarter varieties are double-die errors, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and even coins struck on the wrong planchets. In rare cases, planchets meant for dimes or foreign coins ended up under the dies, and when struck with the quarter design, they created anomalies that collectors now prize as one of a kind. But even beyond the errors, there is another key to the 1980 quarter's incredible value condition. Imagine two coins, one that has been circulating in change for 40 years, scratched, dented, dulled by countless hands, and one that was struck and then immediately preserved in pristine condition. Which one will command attention? The second, without question. This is why grading by PCGS or NGC is essential. Professional graders carefully examine the 1980 P quarter under magnification. They study the surfaces for any imperfections. They assess the sharpness of the strike, the brightness of the luster, and the overall appeal. A coin graded MS65 already sets itself apart from the millions, but when we move into MS67 or higher, suddenly the value skyrockets because so few examples exist. At such pristine levels, collectors at auctions compete fiercely for these top-tier coins. And this is where we see jaw-dropping prices and, yes, certain top-graded examples of the 1980 P Washington quarter with unique qualities have sold for astonishing amounts, even reaching into the realm of $5 million a single quarter, once destined for a gumball machine transformed into a multi-million-dollar treasure. But let's not stop there. The human stories behind these discoveries are just as fascinating. Imagine a collector opening a roll of quarters from the bank in the early 1980s, simply searching for nice examples to fill an album, and there among the ordinary coins lies a perfectly struck error coin or a mint-state beauty. Decades later, that single find becomes a life-changing financial miracle. These stories fuel the passion of the hobby. Let's step aside for a moment and talk about why the 1980 P quarter carries such weight in the coin collecting community beyond the value it represents. A milestone, the P mint mark was a signal to collectors that change was coming. In American coinage, it was a moment when the Philadelphia Mint embraced identification after years of anonymity, and for historians and numismatists that transition matters. It gives the 1980 quarter a place in the timeline of view. Mint history. Now let's discuss another fascinating aspect. The strike-quality coins from the 1980s often suffered from weaker strikes because of overused dies. The mint was producing so many coins that dies wore out quickly. Coins struck later, in a die's life, often look mushy with less detail, but the few coins struck with fresh dies appear razor-sharp. Collectors prize these early die-state coins because their detail and luster stand out dramatically. Now, how does one actually identify whether they have a valuable 1980p quarter? Step 1 is always weight and size. A genuine clad quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. If it weighs significantly less or more, it could be an error or counterfeit. Next, examine the mint mark. The P is small but clear, check for doubling or misplacement. Then study the details of Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. Sharper details usually mean a higher grade, and finally inspect under magnification for any doubling on letters, numbers, or the mint mark itself. These are signs of rare varieties. Of course, once you think you have something special, the next step is submission to PCGS or NGC. Only then can you unlock the coin's true market potential, because collectors with serious budgets do not gamble. They want certified authenticity. Now let's talk about selling, because owning a coin like this is only half the story. Imagine you've discovered a gem-quality 1980p Washington quarter. Where do you go first? You want the biggest audience possible, because the more bidders, the higher the final price. Heritage auctions, Stacks, Bowers, and Great Collections are leaders in the field, offering worldwide exposure to serious collectors. eBay also remains a viable option, especially for certified coins, but sellers should be careful to research recent auction results so they know the fair market range and avoid underselling. One of the most important lessons in numismatics is patience. If you sell too quickly, you might get less than the coin is worth. But if you wait for the right auction, the right market condition, and the right bidders, you can turn a coin into a record breaker. Timing can mean the difference between thousands and millions. And let's not forget coin shows and conventions. These events bring together some of the most passionate collectors and dealers in the world. Bringing a coin like the 1980p quarter to a major show can attract direct offers, sometimes even before it hits an auction floor. Let me pause here to say something to all of you watching. If you are finding value in this story of the 1980 quarter, do me a favor: hit that like button right now. Leave a comment telling us if you have ever found a quarter with a P mint mark in your change. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, World Rare Coin. We have even more shocking coin discoveries to reveal in our upcoming videos. Your support keeps the stories alive and helps us bring numismatic knowledge to more collectors. Now let's return to the suspenseful part. Earlier I mentioned wrong plancher errors. One of the most exciting discoveries in the 1980p quarter series was a coin struck on a foreign plancher smaller and lighter than a quarter. When it was discovered, collectors couldn't believe their eyes. It was certified authentic by PCGS and instantly became one of the most talked about finds in modern numismatics. This shows us that surprises are still out there waiting to be discovered in coins as common as the 1980 quarter. Another point to remember is that storage and preservation matter. Coins stored in flips or albums may tone over time, and while natural toning can sometimes increase eye appeal, harsh cleaning almost always destroys value. Numismatists warn never to clean a coin, especially not with chemicals or abrasives. What looks shiny to the untrained eye often looks ruined to a collector. So if you ever come across a 1980 quarter that looks unusual, resist the urge to clean it and instead submit it to professionals. Now here is a final cliffhanger before we transition to coin number 3. Did you know that the 1980p Washington quarter is not just about errors or grades? It is also about history itself. Every coin carries the fingerprints of its era. And in 1980, America was facing inflation, economic challenges, and cultural shifts. This coin is a frozen snapshot of that time period, and when collectors hold it, They are not just holding metal, they are holding a piece of American history. So as we close out this part, remember the 1980 P. Washington quarter is not only one of the most valuable, modern-clad coins ever struck, it is also one of the most symbolically important with its first P mint mark, its rare errors, its spectacular high-grade survivors, and its astonishing auction results reaching up to $5 million. It stands as proof that even the most ordinary-looking coin can turn out to be a treasure. And this is only coin number 2. We still have one more Washington quarter to uncover a coin whose story is even more dramatic and whose value has reached even greater heights. So make sure you stick with us because the journey is about to get even more exciting. In the world of coin collecting, there are discoveries that leave even seasoned experts speechless. Coins that were once considered ordinary yet turn out to be legendary treasures. The 1983 D. Washington quarter is one such coin, a piece of metal, struck at the Denver Mint, that has grown into one of the most valuable and iconic modern quarters in existence. Let's begin with the setting. The year 1983. The United States was experiencing economic recovery after a harsh recession. Ronald Reagan was president. Technology was advancing, and in Denver, Colorado, millions of quarters were rolling out of the mint. These coins were meant for circulation, nothing special, nothing rare, or so it seemed, but hidden in the vast sea of 1983 D quarters were a handful of coins that would change the landscape of modern numismatics forever. To understand why the 1983 D quarter is so special, we must go back to the fundamentals. The coin has a diameter of 24.3 millimeters, a thickness of 1.75 millimeters, and a weight of 5.67 grams. Just like other clad quarters of the era, its composition is a copper core, with an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel. And the design is familiar: George Washington's profile on the obverse and the proud eagle on the reverse. But as every serious collector knows, the most extraordinary treasures often hide behind ordinary appearances. Here is where the story turns fascinating. In 1982, the United States Mint made a decision that shocked collectors. The government stopped producing mint sets due to budget cuts, and in 1983 the same thing happened. This means there were no official mint sets of 1983 coins, including quarters for collectors to purchase directly from the mint without mint sets. High-grade uncirculated examples of the 1983 quarters became exceedingly rare. Most coins went directly into circulation and were spent for everyday use. This one fact dramatically increased the rarity of high-quality survivors. From 1983, collectors searching decades later discovered that finding a pristine gem-quality 1983 D quarter was nearly impossible, and when a handful of examples graded by PCGS or NGC reached the upper levels of mint state, their values skyrocketed. In fact, some of these coins reached prices as high as $7 million at major auctions, setting records and drawing worldwide attention. Now let's add another layer. The errors. The 1983 D quarter series includes fascinating varieties from double-die reverses to off-center strikes to broad strikes. But perhaps the most famous error is the dramatic double-die reverse, where the letters in the word United States of America and the denomination quarter dollar appear doubled under magnification. These doubling effects are not just minor anomalies. They are bold, visible errors that any collector would recognize, and this makes them extremely desirable. Imagine being the lucky person to spot such an error in circulation. Change. This has actually happened. Ordinary people checking their pocket change in the 1990s discovered 1983 D error quarters, and those coins later sold for life-changing amounts. This is the magic of numismatics. Treasures can be hiding in the most common places, waiting for someone with a sharp eye to uncover them. Now let's talk about condition. Because once again, condition determines value. The majority of 1983 quarters were heavily circulated because there were no mint sets to preserve fresh examples by the time collectors began looking for them. Most coins were scratched, worn, and dull, but a small number survived in pristine mint state when submitted to grading companies like PCGS or NGC. These coins achieved MS66, MS67, or even higher, and those are the coins that transformed into million-dollar rarities. Let's break it down a bit further. PCGS uses a 70-point grading scale. A grade of MS60 means uncirculated but with many marks. MS65 means gem, quality with strong luster and minimal distractions. MS67 is almost flawless and incredibly rare for a clad quarter from 1983. And when we get into MS68 territory, we are looking at coins that are virtually perfect. These are the coins that make headlines. These are the coins that collectors will fight for at auction. And these are the coins that have pushed values into the multi-million-dollar range. Now let's add another layer of insight. Numismatists often study strike quality. The Denver Mint in the early 1980s was pushing out massive quantities of coins. Dies were overused, strikes were often weak, and details blurred. This means that sharp, well-struck examples of the 1983 D quarter are even rarer, and when combined with high grades, they become extraordinary. But what about the specifications themselves? Weight, thickness, diameter, these details matter because they help us identify unusual varieties. For example, if a 1983 D quarter weighs less than 5.67 grams, it might have been struck on a dime plancher. If it weighs more, it could have been struck on a foreign or experimental plancher. These off-metal errors are incredibly rare, but they exist, and when certified by PCGS or NGC, they command staggering prices. And here is something collectors often overlook: eye appeal. Not every MS67 coin looks the same. Some have vibrant natural toning blues, golds, purples, that developed over decades in storage. When these toned coins appear at auction, they often sell for premiums because collectors love coins that are not only technically high grade, but also visually stunning. Now let's move to one of the most practical questions. How do you sell a 1983 D Washington quarter if you are lucky enough to own one? The first step is always authentication and grading without certification. The coin market will not take a high-value coin seriously. Once graded, your options open up. Heritage auctions, Stack's, Bowers, and Great Collections are premier venues for selling record-breaking coins. They have global audiences and attract the biggest collectors. If you prefer online selling, eBay can also work, but only for certified coins. Uncertified examples risk being overlooked or undervalued. Coin shows are another excellent option. Major conventions like the ANA World's Fair of Money bring together collectors, dealers, and investors from around the globe. Imagine walking into a show with a graded 1983 D MS67 quarter and having dealers instantly make offers. Sometimes competition at these shows drives prices even higher than expected. And here is a key lesson. Timing matters. If the market is hot for modern rarities, you may want to list the coin immediately. If the market is slow, patience is the wiser choice, because history shows that demand for legendary coins like the 1983 D quarter always returns and often grows over time. Let's pause for a moment and add some numismatic storytelling, because the 1983 D quarter is not just valuable, it is also symbolic. It reminds us that not every treasure is obvious. Sometimes the most overlooked coins become the most extraordinary. And this is why coin collecting continues to inspire generations of enthusiasts. And if you are enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit that like button right now. Leave us a comment about the rarest coin you've ever found, and make sure you subscribe to World Rare Coin, because we are only just getting started with these incredible discoveries. Your engagement helps keep this channel alive and brings numismatic knowledge to more people across the world. Now here's a cliffhanger before we reveal the final thought about the 1983 D quarter. Did you know that many collectors in the 1980s actually dismissed clad quarters as unworthy of attention. Silver coins were the stars of the hobby at the time. So few people saved coins like the 1983D, and that is exactly why today they are so rare. The lack of foresight by collectors of the time has made this coin one of the most valuable modern rarities ever discovered. So here is the final reveal. The 1983D Washington quarter is not just a coin. It is a legend with its lack of mint sets, its rare error varieties, its astonishingly high-grade survivors, and its jaw-dropping auction results, reaching up to $7 million. It stands as proof that modern coins can achieve legendary status alongside the great rarities of the past. And so we close with this reminder. Coin collecting is more than a hobby. It is a journey of discovery. Every coin in your hand could hold a story. Every coin in your pocket change could be a hidden treasure. The 1970 quarter, the 1980p quarter, and the 1983D quarter have proven that ordinary coins can transform into extraordinary fortunes. So don't stop looking. Keep searching and stay curious, because the next great discovery might be waiting for you in your own pocket. And before you go, make sure to subscribe to our channel, World Rare Coin. Hit that notification bell so you never miss another breakdown of rare coin values, and share this video with friends, family, and fellow collectors. The more people who know, the more treasures will be discovered. Together, we keep numismatics alive and thriving.